Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to the Accursed. We are approaching the end of our guide to the families, at least the families that are in the Curseborne core rulebook, and it is about time that we spoke to you of secrets, memories, forbidden knowledge, and ascetics. You see, we have already spent a lot of time discussing how many accursed hunger for secrets. It seems that when you're damned, you will try anything, plumb any depth, desperately to find a way out of your situation. Sure, there are some accursed that are happy with what they are and what they are forced to face every single night, but others, a lot of others, really want out of the situation that they typically didn't invite upon themselves. That means plumbing for hidden truths and dark secrets in places most people would fear to tread in a desperate attempt to solve the riddle of damnation, your supernatural quandary, your curse. Among the secret hunters and secret eaters, few are as hungry for answers as the ascetics. By name alone, you're given the image of penitents, martyrs who regret their blighted state, and certainly that is a part of what this family represents. They're less likely to revel in their damned state in quite the same way as, let's say, the heirs or the Bathorites, or in a religious sense, the Iscariots, or even the Verare. They speak quietly, they contemplate their existence, they move like shadows. They are at times religious in their conviction and their collection of knowledge and acquisition of secrets. They revere the forbidden as something special, something divine, you could say. After all, it is what makes them what they are. Where other people might take communion on a Sunday morning, the ascetic drinks the deepest memories from inside your skull. To do so makes the ascetic whole, and leaves the victim one puzzle piece short of being complete. The ascetics see information as currency. They don't throw it around as if it's going out of fashion, however. I've already made the comparison, but they are not heirs. They're not trying to appeal to others and making themselves look good. Rather, they see currency and their form of currency as having immense value. At emporiums frequented by their friends among the archivists and the Chimerae, they trade information like auctioneers of fine art or horse dealers who know every inch of fur and every crabfly bite on the animal. They are hungry, do not forget, and so they're always looking for more. And this is perhaps their weakness, beyond their insatiable need for secrets. It's difficult to fool an ascetic, but it is possible to hold out longer than one. Allow their appetite to grow. Allow their appetite to overcome their need for a good trade. Eventually, their hunger grows to such a degree that they will divulge a juicy morsel for the equivalent of a happy meal of knowledge. It's tragic, really, but appetites being what they are, the ascetics are forced to hate themselves because eventually they will settle for less if it means they are fed. But this doesn't make them all craven, and far from it, it doesn't make them easily manipulated. The ascetics compete with each other in the building of rich troves concerning global conspiracies, local scandals, and the truths behind liminalities and the outsides and nature of curses. Few families are quite as schooled in the nature and origins of curses as the ascetics, but they also work closely together when accosted by others, perhaps closely tied to the Black Hearts in terms of unity. They are the main hungry family I think of when I consider a united front. Me against my brother and I against the world, that kind of philosophy. They know that they have weaknesses that can be exploited, and so they assist each other. And you may not think that a legion of secret-hungry librarians is anything to fear. But imagine them instead like deep deep-delving reporters, journalists who want to uncover every single scandal you have, every locked-away memory, every secret that you wish wasn't brought to light. In this regard, they are close to the archivists in their trade, except they don't have the need to release secrets. They do it when they want to, when it benefits them to do so. And so they look at the archivists over in Sorcerer Land and they say, well, what's the point in you gathering secrets if you have to give them up just to gain more? We keep hold of ours. We treasure the ones that are important to us. And when we can turn a secret into a weapon, we will. So the ascetics see themselves somewhat like weapons dealers in this respect. It makes them quite lethal. They consider themselves magicians and scientists, and it's an adequate summary of their interests and abilities. They do delve into the realms of the forbidden, and indeed the very first ascetic was speculated to be a combination of these things, a magician and a scientist. Most of the family heads I discuss in these videos of ours are apocryphal, more suited to myth and, well, speculation than historic record. Well, the ascetics would dearly love to find out the truth behind their founders' origins and the place where their curse first formed. They want a timeline. They want names. They want dates. They want faces. They want events, locations, and verification. The ascetics love a good story, but they want the truth even more. The truth fills them in a way that other sustenance, other secrets just do not. And this truth vexes them, because while the old vampire in ancient Mesopotamia was believed to be a scholar, philosopher, priest whose hunger for truths and love of conspiracies grew to such an extent that this individual formed the very first secret police in historic record, a tool of the tyrants of the time, and drained every wise man and woman in the realm, within the empire, of their intellect, so that the magician could grow more and more powerful. This magician's name, whereabouts, and current activities are lost. And note that I say current activities. The ascetics can feel the magician. They know the magician is close by. They know that lurking just out of sight, the magician feeds on them, siphoning secrets away from the very edges of their consciousness. Sometimes an ascetic will wake to discover they can't recall their parents' names, or their town where they grew up, or where they buried the bodies. Such maladies are blamed on the magician. Maybe, just maybe, the magician occupies an outside, many outsides, all at the same time, just bordering through a liminality every one of the magician's descendants, and is seeping off each one of these valuable secrets. After all, the ascetics' draining of memories must go somewhere. Why not to the founder? And ascetics aren't naturally drawn to accursed politics, at least not on the front line. They're all about what's in here rather than what's coming out of there. They don't really care all that much about how people might adore them or fear them. So they make for excellent backroom dealers, manipulators, counselors, observers, but don't play for influence in the same way that the Bathorites, heirs, and other such families do. The ascetics will happily leave those families to their pomp, their pageantry, their brinksmanship, and the ascetics will play kingmaker. Because while they value political legerdemain, they know that their role is best served in the background, in the back rooms, in the liminalities, controlling things, pulling strings, because they will back an heir to become overseer of all of the city's hungry, declaring laws, order, who's in, who's out, because they know that they will be able to uncover every one of that heir's scandals, and will then be able to manipulate the tyrant-in-chief into yielding the city's heirlooms to them. Heirlooms possess many secrets. The memories that surround them are well, we'll call them rich sustenance for the ascetics. It isn't just secrets, of course, it is memories in general. The ascetics hunger for experience, and this is an aspect that is often missed when examining the family. People camp them with the archivists and other such accursed who really want the forbidden knowledge. But ascetics' interest in forbidden knowledge extends beyond liminal to mundane. I've already mentioned the parent's name, the town you grew up in, where the bodies are buried. This is the kind of thing they adore draining from someone, and the ascetics are perfectly primed to do this. They have the gifts that enable them to do this. How? Well, to give you an example, I know an ascetic who is a therapist. It's the perfect role for an ascetic. They will speak to their patient. They will uncover the hidden truths, the scandals, the miseries, and then they will even help their patient by taking those pains away. They'll say, soon you won't worry about these things anymore. That traumatic relationship you had, the way your parents raised you, the way your teacher beat you, that horrible experience you had in your first job, within a few weeks, you'll be able to put it behind you. Hell, you won't even think about it anymore. You have my word, my guarantee, and make sure you recommend me to your friends. You can remember that. Don't worry, remember that. And slowly but surely, the ascetic will pick away the threads of memory from their victim. And an ascetic can be more violent than that. They could pounce on someone and quite literally drink in the memories like steam from a victim. But they prefer it being spoken or written. I've seen an ascetic prey on someone by getting them to open up in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. They sat there in the circle, just practically engorged as everyone around was telling their tales of woe. And then, by the end of the meeting, don't be mistaken into thinking that all of these victims come away better. You need the trauma, you need the pain, you need to understand where you went wrong so you don't repeat the same mistakes. Most ascetics don't care for that level of of therapy. No, they're quite happy for our addict to forget how exactly they screwed up last time, inevitably pushing them into doing it again, so they can take that memory from them too. In this respect, they are quite close to the black hearts, because the best memories you can take, the juiciest ones, are tied to trauma, are tied to misery and scandal, hate, fear, strong emotions. And the ascetics are a strong family, often overlooked, because memories? It's not exactly ripping out someone's heart or bathing in their blood, is it? But when your victims are left as husks, as drones, as thoughtless, mindless peons, tied to their desks, in loveless relationships, not understanding where they put their shoes last night or where their car key is, the ascetic has moved on, but the victims remain hollowed husks. So don't overlook the ascetics. They are dark and they are terrible, just as all are cursed, just in their own way.